Welcome. Before we get started, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. Like the knowledge that UBC Point Grey campus is located on the traditional, ancestral, and ceded territory of the Musqueam people, and the Okanagan campus lies on the ceded territory of the Selix people. So, as Rachel sort of gave the introduction, that this is the introduction to Globus session. So, for this session, we're going to go over overview of what Globus is, what it can do, what can help in terms of for research. And then I'll pass over to my colleague Ben, who will do a live demo. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them on Slido, and we'll be happy to answer them throughout the session. So first, what is Globus? So Globus is a tool to help researchers move, share, and or discover data via one single interface. For example, on high performance computing clusters, or the commercial cloud, or even your workstation. Some of the benefits of using Globus in comparison to other data transfer, data sharing tools include you could initiate these transfers and leave them unmonitored and let the transfer complete, especially if you're trying to transfer terabytes and terabytes of data. You probably don't want to sit in front of your computer for hours waiting for it to complete. And in cases like when you're transferring for hours and hours, there could be circumstances where there could be network issues or power outages, whatever the case may be, where the transfer gets interrupted. Well, another benefit of Globus is that it can restart, not from the beginning, but where it left off for these data transfers, so you don't have to start from the beginning, which is a big difference from other data transfer tools that you may be familiar with. Another benefit of using Globus is the data integrity. When it completes the data transfer, it checks that the files that are transferred at the destination are identical to the ones that you were to the source, so where you're transferring from, so that you have a confirmation that there's nothing corrupted or anything like that at the very end. Another benefit is the institutional accounts, or accounts to use to log in with Globus. There are other tools out there where you are kind of restricted to the type of accounts you can use to authenticate or log into those tools, so which may be a little bit restrictive or a little bit more upfront work for you to facilitate access if you're required to use, let's say, the UBC CWL for those tools. But Globus, it can use university accounts like UBC's account. If you have an account on the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, you can use that account. Or if you're sharing data or working with collaborators that do not have any university or alliance accounts, you can even use a Google account. So that makes it much easier to facilitate data sharing and data transfer. And last but not least, it has the feature where it can encrypt these data transfer, enforce that, so that during the communication of the transfer, all the data is encrypted along the way. So dramatically reduces the risk of any of the transfers being intercepted and get copies of your data. Security. So to add on to all the different benefits, there are also other security type features available through Globus. We mentioned encryption of research data during transfer. So and include identities provided and managed by institutions. So if you have requirements where for data sharing circumstances, you need to use institutional accounts or accounts that has multi-factor authentication for the additional security, that is available by default because it can use institutional accounts. Another aspect in terms of security is that data remains at institutions. Data is never stored on any servers or anything where it's managed by Globus itself, but it actually remains in the institutions where it's stored and where it gets transferred to. There is no intermediate place where data are stored, so that increases the security. We mentioned integrity checks, so there's no corruptions of data. and high availability and redundancy. So it helps with the make sure that if there's any aspect of the data transfer there's part of the Globus infrastructure gets interrupted, or there is redundancy so that it can go to a different route. Some common use cases of using Globus includes transferring data from your workstation or your computer to the high-performance computing clusters. So it's not just between big infrastructure, it also could be between your laptop to these clusters. Transferring to and from storage solutions, which kind of relates to the third point, backing up replicating research data. So you can back up using Globus, so you could transfer data to another location for backup. And last but not least, which I mentioned before, sharing research data with collaborators. So these are common use cases where Globus helps researchers a lot. Now, we talk about all these benefits, but how do you interact with Globus? Well, for most researchers, there's the web interface. So you can use your favorite web browser, and you can do most of your tasks that you required through this web interface. There's no requirement to download any additional software, anything like that. You just log in with your credentials on the web interface, and then you can do your data transfer, data sharing, and all that. However, there are circumstances where you need to, or you're more comfortable with the command line. There is a command line interface that you can use, and also the application program interface for those that may be familiar with a little bit more of the software side of things. You can also have software interact with the data through using Globus. Now, as I mentioned, a term called endpoint. So when you're working with Globus, sometimes the term endpoint may come up. What is an endpoint? Endpoint is essentially a location where Globus is enabled so that we can view the data, and also where you can potentially share the data. But last but not least is essentially the source or destination where data can go. So at UBC, some endpoints include our high performance computing cluster, UBC Arc Sockeye, and our object storage, Chinook. And the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, there's all the various high performance computing clusters across the country, including Beluga, Cedar, and Graham, and any of the new clusters that will be coming online very soon. And the Alliance Cloud has an object storage offering as well, and that's also can be accessed through Globus. So you don't need to use a command line or any other S3 type tools to access the data there. We mentioned that you can transfer data to and from a workstation. So how do you do that? Because the endpoints I mentioned previously are managed by system administrators of the various institutions. Well, Globus has a tool called Globus Connect Personal, which is software you install on your computer, which enables you to give permission that certain folders on your computer are visible through Globus, which allows you to transfer data to and from those folders to any of the other endpoints. This software is available on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Now, by default, Globus Connect Personal only allows you to transfer to and from your workstation. If you need to share data that are stored on your workstation through Globus, you'll need something called Globus Subscription Group, previously known as Globus Plus. So you can request for that to be added to your Globus workstation endpoint, Globus Connect Personal. And those requests will will go to UBC Advanced Research Computing, and will process your requests and enable that for you so that you can even share data that's stored on your workstation if there's a need for that. High assurance. So high assurance, it's another term related to endpoints. It's essentially a higher level of security. There are various features associated with that, including enforcing encryption. We mentioned that encryption during data transfer is available through Globus, but by default, that could be disabled. However, for high assurance, any endpoints that are with high assurance, those are enforced, so you can't disable that. So that is mandatory. And also another feature that is available is authenticate specific identity within the session. So essentially that means that, yes, we mentioned that there's the flexibility that anyone you're working with can log in with their various institutional accounts, but if there are requirements for your research where you're required that they are accessing with accounts from specific institutions or institution, that could be enforced with high assurance. And that can be enabled on your Globus Connect Personal as well through those steps in the settings. Something to note, and that's been a misunderstanding for some users of Globus, is that files, again, are not hosted on Globus. So if you see those files on your Globus Connect Personal endpoint through the web interface, for example, if you delete the data through that interface, it also deletes the data on your computer. So be aware of that. So these files are not stored on Globus, so it's not another copy of those data. Those are exact same files that you see on your computer if the endpoint is on Globus Connect Personal. There is another software that is available called Globus Connect Server. So that is like Globus Connect Personal, but it is for works for lab servers that may be hosted, hopefully in a data center, but there may be older servers that are still hosted in labs, in the storage somewhere, or under someone's desk. Those could be created as endpoints as well using Globus Connect Server. This is available through with the Linux operating system. And something to note is that Globus Connect Server, another item that is differentiated from Globus Connect Personal, is that it is designed for multi-user. And also intended to be installed by a systems administrator. Versus Globus Connect Personal, it's more for a user base, so you're installing it just like any other software that you may be installing on your computer. So we mentioned that you can share data through Globus. I'll go over some of these capabilities through the next few slides. However, we'll be going through them through the live demo in the next section. The demo will be given by Ben. So to share data, you create something called guest collection, and then you grant your collaborators access to it. So you can grant it at the project level, folder level. So for example, here you have 3 folders. You don't need to share everything. You can share particular folders. And with Globus sharing, there is various level of access you can give. So you can give read-only access. So you're sharing the data so that they can retrieve copies, but they don't have the capability of deleting or overwriting any of the files, or read and write, depending on what the nature of the collaboration. And to share with, something I would like to highlight is there are various levels of sharing. So you can share with individual users. So if you're sharing with a handful of users, this will be the most direct way of doing that. You can search for them using their email address, their various institutional email address, or the Gmail email address, and you can grant them access. Or if you are starting to manage a larger group of collaborators, it may be easier to create groups where you put your collaborators into groups, whether it's at different sites, for example, or have different permission access. Then you can just grant them access to groups. So the next time you need to grant access to these groups of collaborators, you can just grant them to the group, and you don't have to do them individually. Or if there's circumstances where you're sharing with the public, you can also enable those folders to be shared with all users, which means that someone just has to be able to log into Globus with the various accounts, and they'll be able to access the data, or public, which is anonymous. So anyone with access to the link, they'll be able to access the folder or its data, which may be useful if you're just sharing to the public or posting it on your website. Another level of sharing includes where you may not be the only person that may be managing that access. Especially if you're the principal investigator, you may want to delegate those tasks to manage the day-to-day of sharing with others. to your research manager, for example, or your research assistants or postdoc. Well, you could do that by giving those individuals access to these different levels of access, from administrator all the way to activity monitor. So access manager is the most commonly used because they can view who has access and then add and delete as needed as collaborators or lab members come and go. They could manage that with the access they need. Globus sharing. So there are some exceptions in terms of where Globus can help with sharing. It has to be enabled by these endpoints by the system administrator. So you can share from, for example, UBC Arc Chinook, the object storage here on campus, or the Alliance clusters. Many of them you can share from the home and Scratch. Home and Scratch. And then project, you just have to put in a request. The exception is the Niagara cluster that is not, sharing is not available. And I mentioned Arbutus, the cloud, the object storage offering that's based at University of Victoria, that is, sharing is also available there. Before I pass over to Ben, I just want to share a couple of links that may be useful. Some documentation is available through, that we made available through our Confluence, our technical user documentation. Also, the Alliance also has the documentation on Globus from step-by-step how to set up your access to sharing. Globus themselves also has documentations at that link there, and they have some YouTube videos as well where they walk through some of these common tasks. And then support at the very end. So if you have any questions about Globus, how the use of Globus, feel free to contact UBC Arc at arc.support, arc.support@ubc.ca, and then the Alliance if it's related to Globus through the Alliance clusters, and you can also email Globus at tech.alliancecan.ca. So that's the end of my slides. I could stop for some questions. Okay, perfect. Just leave it to Ben.
Is this on? Guess it is. Yeah, thanks, Michael. So yeah, the slides part, maybe I'll leave it on for a little bit so you can get all the links and stuff. So yeah, with the PowerPoint, it's a little bit dense just because it's a lot of information, but with the live demo, I'm just going to show you how to connect to Globus, the web interface to start, to show you that it's actually pretty straightforward. The only issue is you might have a hard time figuring out where certain things are located where you want it, but overall, it's actually pretty easy to use.
So there's a question in Slido.
Oh.
So the question is, if I want to share with a non-academic collaborator via Globus, would the collaborator be able to create Globus account? Would there be a cost?
They can actually log in with just the Gmail or with the GitHub, so they don't there will be no cost to them. Depend on what you're sharing. So if you're using Chinook, for example, if you are a allocation, if you have an allocation, you can actually share that with yeah, anyone in the world, pretty much. They just need, so there's no cost to get a Globus account. But yeah, if it's just two people that's randomly, that's not also affiliated with UBC, that might be trickier. But yeah, if you're at UBC, shouldn't be a problem, more or less. Yeah. If you're able to share it with someone at UBC, you should be able to share it with someone outside of UBC. Yeah. If that makes sense. But once I show it, maybe it'll make a bit more sense on just how to share stuff and log in. So kill this slide here. Here. See the web browser, okay. Get rid of that. So yeah, the website is just globus.org. So yeah, this is the part, if you kind of want to follow along, you can. You don't necessarily have to. It's pretty explanatory, but if you want to, for the first half of the demo, you can more or less follow along with your own login. So this is the Globus website. Everybody who's using Globus log in with this, at least through if you're using the web interface. You just click on the big login button here. And so this is the login screen. As Mike was mentioning, there's different ways to log in to Globus. So you can log in with your Gmail, you can log in with GitHub, or even with a Globus ID. So when you are connecting, this is where you are able to look up the organization unit that you are using to validate your identity. So for this purpose, I am just going to go University of British Columbia, if I know how to spell that properly, or actually easier if I just go British Columbia. But yeah, like say if you want to use your GitHub, you just click on one of these buttons and it would actually direct you to put in your GitHub password, or if you want to use Gmail, you can log in and whatever. So let's go with UBC again. Continue, and this will redirect you to, if you're from UBC, you recognize the Citadel login screen. And this is dual factor, which is a good thing, despite what you might think. So yeah, your screen may not look, well, exactly like this, just because I have other abilities and permissions. But generally speaking, you log into it, you'll see the file manager. You might see just one panel or two panels. So yeah, on the corner here, this is where you can pick between, since a lot of the main function of Globus Web is to transfer files from one endpoint to another endpoint. Usually what people have is having the two panels where you can actually put something on the left and put something on the right, and you can click on the transfer to transfer it over. So we'll go over that in a bit, but let's quickly, question.
There's a question. So what's the maximum file size allowed for sharing?
Maximum. There is actually well, it depends on the storage space you have, but I actually have a document. I can show you that now. Control copy, the thing there's like thousands of, you can, there's on the Globus doc, you can only transfer three tasks per Globus user. You can have thousands. I don't think there is a actual file size limit. I've transferred gigabytes, no problem. I don't know, like I don't think there's an actual, it depends how much storage you have, right? So on Chinook, if you have 1 terabyte, that's probably the limit you have. But there is a limit on how many little files you can have. So if you have a directory that has, like over 5 million files, then it has problems. So that's some of the limits. I don't know if there's an actual file size for if you have a single giant file. I don't know. You know, Michael? Yeah. But I've easily done I haven't done like a terabyte file, but I feel like I've done pretty big, multiple gigabytes, and it's fine. So hopefully.
Yeah, and I think one thing to know is about that the number of files you can transfer in one task. If you do actually reach that limit, you can easily overcome that by just archiving it or zipping it into one, so that then Globus kind of treat it as one file. Then you could transfer more than files that way.
And if you're transferring a folder, even if there's thousands of files in it, that only counts at one task. So that's all. It's not like every file you transfer is one task. So yeah. Yes. So accounts. You can, so because you have multiple accounts or multiple ways to log into Globus, you can log in with your UBC WL if you have, but if you also work in University of Alberta, for example, you can log in with that account, or you want to use your Gmail, or you want to use your GitHub. There is actually a way of connecting, under settings, you can actually link all your identities. So you can add, so like you can see here, I have one for my UBC account and I have one for my Compute Canada account. The reason that you want to do this is, yeah, like if you've been moving between universities and you don't want to, and you can actually keep some of the your collections that you have access to all in one place. You don't want to log in multiple times. It sort of links up whatever you have access to, and you can just log in with the UBC, and you can see your other permissions that's given to you from your other accounts. Of course, when you try to link it, it would make you type in a password and stuff just to verify that, so that you can't just link anybody's account. But just something to be aware of. You probably want to, if you have a lot of Globus Globus ID that you're using, or if you're transferring from one place to another, you might want to link your account, your identity, so you can carry what you have access to before to your new institution. And so now we'll do the file manager part. Oh, file manager. So go to file manager here on the top. So yeah, most of your functions are on the left-hand side here. File manager is probably what you would use the most. So now, this is where you do your search and put in you try to look for a collection you have access to that you can, so you can open and see what's in it. So right now, for the sake of this training session, I created something called the Art Globus Summer Training Collection. I've set the access to public, so anyone who is logged into Globus can actually connect to the share. But since I've connected to it in the past, it shows up here, but otherwise, if you want to look for it, you would just go Arc. Yeah. So if you type Art Globus, let's see, eventually it should show more and more, kind of like a classic. Yeah. So yeah, just type that onto your browser. It would show up with this, and you just click on that. And you wouldn't see folder A, but you'll see, Summer School was the folder I set for public to see. So you should be able to see it on your left-hand side. And if you go inside of it, I've put some demo, just random files on my desktop that I've copied in for the sake of this demonstration. And this is just so I'm showing you how to transfer from one collection to another. So you want to move it to somewhere. So the other thing that I've chosen to use is Globus. The developers have actually put out a tutorial collection that anyone can connect to. This is just for the sake of training. It's called Globus Tutorial Collection 1. You just type that in, and yours will, so you can connect to it. I think it's just randomly generated for each user, so yours will look different than mine, but it might be probably going to be empty on that side, but doesn't really matter. We're just showing. I'm going to show file transfer from the left side to the right-hand side. So yeah, this is the most common function of Globus. If you want to transfer something over, you click on a file or multiple files, and then you click on Start, on the side that you want, you see the little arrow here or the triangle goes from this side, from the left to the right. But before you do that, you probably want to check out the options that you have for transferring the files. You can call the transfer something because when you do the transfer, it actually creates a task that you can look on later in activities. So you don't have to label it something, but if you're doing a lot of transfer all the time, you might want to call it something in the future so you can see what happens. So I can just say, summer, July, what day is it today? 10th, something like that. And there's a whole bunch of transfer setting that you can set to do your transfer. I will go over some quick ones here that's recommended from our support team. They said if you, so yeah, you verify file integrity after transfer. You should keep that unchecked, so it means it verifies the file integrity after transfer, just so that you're sure that the file you transferred is checked to be okay. It does some sort of checksum on each side. So you probably want to do that, leave that unchecked. It doesn't make things that much slower. It's worth it. Another thing is if you want to do sync. So syncing, what it means is if you have, generally speaking, if you have a folder on one system and have a folder on another system, you want to synchronize them. So only move new or change file from one to another. You use the sync function. But when you click on sync, there's multiple choices. And this is the part that we recommend to use any of these except checksum is different. You can use it, but apparently this makes it a lot slower to do it. From what we found is that because it would try to do checksum on every single file. So if you have been transferring files using the file integrity the whole time, like there's no reason, the checksum is already verified when you first transfer it. So there's no reason to do it again over and over again. But yeah, so if you have this set and you have like thousands of files, it's gonna take forever. So pick any one of these. I think, yeah, is good enough. It's depending on your need, I guess. Based on, yeah.
Lido, is it possible to set an expiration time for the share file or collections?
So this is just, okay, right now we're just doing the transfer, so there's no, so this is, so I'm not sharing with someone right now. I'm just like, so this is me moving a file from one system to another. So on the context of this, you can set how many times it fail. If there's error, it would stop sharing it, or you can set a schedule and repeat. But in terms of sharing, we can go over that in a bit. I'm not quite sure what because in the context of this is I'm transferring something from my system to something I have access to also as well. Once you click on send, it goes to do the task. You can go to activity and cancel it after the fact, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to be showing a little bit on how to share later, so they will be able to see some of the settings when sharing. So that helps answer the question. It may help answer the question. If not, feel free to ask again. But yeah, I think it may be more clear once you see the settings. Because
another thing is if you're doing a lot of share and you in the beginning when you first do it, when you first start transferring files, like you might want to see notifications on success and failure, and so you probably want to have to send. Does these send you an email if your transfer failed or didn't work? But it also would send you an email every time it's successful. So if you're transferring if you're doing a lot of tasks, if you don't want to get a bunch of emails saying your file transfer a bunch of times, you might want to disable it. But it's just something, it's up to you to do it. And you can do a scheduling task for it. So you can say, I want it to be transferred on the 15th instead of immediately. If you don't set it, it's pretty much as soon as you click on the transfer button, and you can set it to repeat in days, hours, and minutes. So this is good. This is quite useful for a lot of people if you're trying to synchronize. Say if you have a lab instrument that's collecting data like photos or videos or something like that, and you can actually install, for example, I'm going to show you later, the Globus Personal Connect on that computer. A lot of those are running like Windows or could be Linux or whatever. And you would create this task and set a timer on it and just make it repeat every hour, forever basically. And it would every hour it would synchronize the files that you have collected on your instrument, on your lab, up to Chinook or whatever you want to store the data. So that's one quick way of doing that.
Lido, so is it possible to move file within the same collection? I know we can make a copy, but not sure how to move files from one folder to another.
It depends on the it depends on the collection you're using. I don't. It's you can you do from Chinook to another? There are tricky things about. I haven't really. That's actually something I haven't really thought of doing. You should be like within the same, like so from one folder to another. Okay, let me just get out of this here. Well, let me just do the one transfer here and I can go into that and see how that goes. Yeah, I can get back to that. We can try it here and there. I think it depends on what the endpoint you're connecting to.
I was going to say that I don't think Globus will prevent you from doing it, but the limitation may be the actual underlying storage. So Globus is essentially the overlaying tool that is helping you manage file sharing and file transfer, but some of the limitation may be on the storage level. So maybe your computer or the storage that your collaborators may have access to. So we'll see.
Yeah, we can just do it. Let me just, So this one is from the different one to another, whether or not this works. Sometimes if you haven't authenticated in a while, when you click on start, it might. So yeah, if you're following this at home, you might actually get a lot more prompts to log in to your CWL multiple times. But just because I've used it recently, it's not doing it on my case. So when you do a job, you click on start, and then it submitted a request. So if you go to activity, this is where you can see what you have done in the past. And this is showing that the transfer has started. This is where you keep track of. So in theory, since you are transferring between two endpoints that is not running on my computer, it's one that's on Chinook, one that's on Globus, you can close your browser, you can turn off your computer. Even if there's gigabytes of files, it will still run in the background. Like this is not, storage. Well, it's possible that I don't. I guess I have a limited amount of storage on this fake, Globus tutorial section. Let me just see. I just don't have? Well, I can see. So yeah, if you get a message, it'll tell you exactly why it didn't work, because it says my storage quota has exceeded, maybe because this Globus collection doesn't have that much space. The fun of a demo here. Let's see here. If I go delete selected. Stuff. Well, it did go. So let me just do this all over again. Yeah, like this is the free Globus tutorial thing. Maybe there's a limited file usage here. Let me just do this all over again. Delete selected, delete, and nothing on this side. activity, delete somewhere. Why is it still? Oh. Maybe I shouldn't have used the Globus free one, but oh well, I tried to use them and move another file here. Let's try to move a folder here. So I'm going to move the small file folders. Maybe did I pick something goofy? Oh yeah, I guess I don't need to do sync. Let's go start. Submit a job. So I'm just moving a folder here from one side to another. Go to activity. Or maybe I should do one or the other. As you can see in the past, these tasks all work perfectly well when I was testing it out. I mean, they could be doing something. Okay. If I go refresh here, yeah, it got moved. Let's see. Huh. It is just a warning, I guess. It did move it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, it maybe just the Globus collection have a really low quota warning. Yeah, normally you won't get like, yeah, we're using like a demo thing that they already said this collection is used for demonstration tutorial, limited capacity. So I wonder if it just gave me a warning every time because the quota is probably 0 or something. But as you can see, the files that I have from one side is moved over to this side. And now if I go, can you have both on the same time? I guess you can. So if I go up one folder, say if I want to move, so this is just this, I go one folder, say if I want to move, well, there's no move function, so say if I go one folder, say if I want to move a file from inside small file to outside of the small files thing, I guess I can go this way, and then I go, like there's no, it's usually just a copy, there's no move, so you would have to go, you would move it over, you refresh the list, and then you would click on it and you go delete selected on the other side. It's not really meant to be a file management tool. It's mostly transfer. So usually, if you want to be moving files, if possible, you would do it a different way. Although in Chinook, you kind of have to do it on Globus. There's also with on Chinook on Globus, you can't, just because the way the source system work, you can't rename a folder. Well, you can rename it on depending on the type of storage, underlying storage it uses. Sometimes you can rename a folder, sometimes you can't. And if you can't, you kind of have to move everything out to a different directory. You have to create a new directory and move everything to a different directory, and then delete the old folder to rename a folder. It's kind of a process, but that's just because of the underlying storage type that the collection uses. Hopefully that's not too off the script here. So I don't know, is everything making sense a bit despite the warnings from, I think, yeah, like in case you're worried about the warning, I think it just tells, I mean, it's not failing, it just says it's a warning. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what storage quota I have on the well.
Added more context. So he said, thanks for trying. It was me who asked to move the move folder question. The context is I wanted to reorganize files on Chinook.
Yeah.
Can't really move files without download and re-upload.
You can, Yeah, well, you can move it between them, I think let me just see here. Yeah, it is kind of a process. I think you kind of have to do let's see here. So say, for example, I want to move. Yeah, you kind of have to go through let me try. So for example, if you want to move it from like this folder to this folder A, so you do have to use the back and forth interface here. Yeah, like you don't have to download it to your computer. You can have it on left and a right and kind of play around with it, but it's just all moving. Sorry, it's all copying, so there's no moving. So once you copy to a different folder, for example, so I copied it over to this folder, you have to go in to the correct one and click on delete and make sure you do the right folder. So yeah. Let's see here. Yeah.
Says I try moving files within my own folders, but it just copies it to the new place. Then I have to delete the original location. But it says, but it stays on the cloud, so it's faster than downloading and uploading.
Sorry, what was the first?
Yeah, so I'll repeat the question.
Yeah.
So the person say, I try moving files within my own folders.
Yeah.
It just copies it to the new place.
Yeah.
Then I have to delete the original location.
Yeah.
But it stays on the cloud, so it's faster than downloading and uploading.
I mean, it should be faster than downloading anything to your desktop and then uploading it. I don't know, is that the question or a comment? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, like probably don't want to be if you have a bunch of files, you don't want to be download. I mean, in theory, you could download it to your Globus personal and then re-upload it, but
yeah, I think one thing to know is that you're downloading to your computer if the files can fit on your computer, first of all, because if we're working terabytes of data, that might not even be possible. The other thing would be, is that if you're down to your computer, you're going through for example, your home network or your lab network, which is probably going to be slower than between, let's say, two storage infrastructure that you may have access to, or between a high performance computing cluster and another storage, because those are larger infrastructure with faster internet connections typically. So that's probably going to help with download or upload speed. But if you have that intermediate step to your computer, that will also slow things down. And Globus wouldn't be able to. It'll be able to help with the facilitation and the restarting if there's network interruption, for example, but it wouldn't be able to increase the speed because the limitation is the home or lab network.
Yeah, so like for Chinook, so this our Globus thing is on Chinook. I think later on I'll show you how to actually do shares and stuff from it. But yeah, if you wanna clean up the structure, you have to use this interface and just have it on both left and right, and if you want to and move it back and forth or create folders, create a new folder, call it something else, and then move stuff to it. It's just a lot of I keep saying move, but it's copy in a sense. Yeah, because you're not deleting from one side. When I say move, I meant copy.
The first one is, I want to use Globus for Sakai to access my file on PC. Does it mean the files have to be transferred first, or it can be just linked as a drive via Globus?
You have to transfer it to Sakai first. You can link to your PC. So I mean, it could, if you do the Globus Personal Connect. It's it's a link kind of way. So you can set a folder on your PC or Linux or Mac. If you're Globus Personal Connect, you can share that folder. You can create a endpoint with it, and as long as the Globus Personal Connect is running, you'll be able to see it in Globus. So, and then you still have to transfer it to your Sakai point. You can't just mount something into Sakai from your desktop. You still have to do transfer. Yeah. to it. Yeah, okay, sure, great.
So the question is, can we transfer between Sakai and UBC team share?
Not well at this point. You can do it in a roundabout way by if you connect to UBC team share and you map the drive as like an H drive or something, you can set Globus Personal Connect to mount any share drive. So you could in a roundabout way. There might be things we're looking into, but right now you could do it, but you have to Globus Personal Connect, make sure the team share drive is mapped as a Windows or Mac drive. I assume it's going to work on a Mac, although I don't have one to test, but and you can, so yeah, so if you have a team share drive on your, like H drive, then you point the shared Globus directory to that drive, and it will share it. And then you have to go, and then you go into. So yeah, some of this I'm going to show, maybe not necessarily the team share part, but yeah, that's eventually we'll get to it. But
Yes. For the team share part, once it's mounted, Globus is treated just like any other folder on your computer. So once it's mounted, you'd be sharing sharing a downloads folder, for example.
Okay, so what am I looking at next? File manager. So yeah, activity transfer, and I was originally on this thing. I was going to show, well, make sure there's these limits on child's transfer, but I think I showed you that already. And like these are pretty high tolerance. I mean, yeah, but but people do have thousands or millions of files, so just to be aware of that. So now, yeah, I'm gonna quickly show Globus Personal Connect endpoint. So since I'm on a Windows machine, so this will just be a demo for Windows users, but on the Mac, it's quite similar. Hopefully this works. I'm gonna use Windows Sandbox here. Yeah, Windows Sandbox is just, you won't be using Windows Sandbox. This is just like a Windows built-in function. So it's like a virtual machine that for testing purposes. Hopefully, see if the internet's working on this. So if not, yeah, it's available. So yeah, Globus Personal Connect Personal is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I think cut and paste works on this. Oh, it's no internet probably because I'm using Wi-Fi, and well, there goes this theory. Huh. Is it because I'm on VPN? Let me just get off this. Hang on a second. This should work. Oh, here we go. So because I'm on VPN. Okay. So yeah, imagine this is a machine. You never have Globus Connect Personal installed. This is Windows 11. Okay, here you go. Let's go full screen. So yeah, this is the download page. Well, you can probably just Google it. Globus Connect Personal, and different versions of it. So we're going for the one for Windows. Tells you how to install it. Blah, blah, blah. Just download it. It's pretty straightforward. Do volume. I think, oh, it is. Oh, yeah, here we go. You just go down for Windows. Blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to. I have to confirm it. Yeah, I do. Sorry, I don't use Edge very often. But still wonky anyway. So it's downloaded. You just run the installer. Run Globus Connects Personal. And yeah, this is where you set up here. Just log in. So yeah, you will be given a prompt like that just so that your application is linked to your account. As you can see, you can choose between the login you use. So I'm just going to use the UBC one. And this is what you want to call your share collection. You probably want to make it a unique name. I think if you just put like my stuff, might be tricky to call it, but maybe I'll say Ben Summer testing or something. So this is how you search for it. But although when you log into Globus, under my collections, it will show up as well. But it's nice to say what it is, or just so in the future you remember what you set up and where it's set up. High assurance only matters if you actually do have a high insurance tier. That's a different topic but feel free to contact us if you need that. As Michael mentioned, that's for if you have much more sensitive data that you need.
Yes. Sorry, I was just want to interrupt. At one point, I forgot to mention during my slide deck is about the high assurance. It's probably best to double check with the institution related to that account that you're linking your Globus Connect personal endpoint to regarding high assurance. Because if you had selected the high assurance check mark, but that institution actually does not have high assurance as part of their subscription, it would just fail, and the various ways you can tell that it's failing and you can't see the endpoint, for example. And the only way to fix that is to disconnect everything and start from scratch, and then recreate that endpoint without checking off high assurance. So if you will need to, because of various compliance requirements for your research, it's probably best to check first before checking that. Otherwise, you have just to remove all your setup and set it up all again.
Yeah, that was a bad angle for my risk. I don't know. So yeah, so this is installed, and it installs like a little tray icon on your Windows, and on the Mac, I guess it'll be on top of the little toolbar. So setup is here. So it's not a lot of options. A lot of the other actual options is on the Globus web interface. So the only thing you really need to worry about is, well, one of the things. So this is where you set which folder you want to be shared. So for example, let's just create new folder of Globus. And then let's go. Whatever. Yeah, you don't even need stuff in it, but whatever, save it. So yeah, like say we want to share that folder. It's kind of what you expect. You click on the little add button here, and you look for it on your computer. This utility account, that stuff. But if you have like a shared H drive and stuff, I'm gonna get rid of this document here. You can remove. You can set stuff like shareable. But if you want to add, if you have other drive share, like if you have an A drive, like a shared drive, like all those drives would show up. Like in theory, you can just select, you would never do a C drive, but if you want, you can show you. I mean, you don't, yeah. I guess there's no reason to. Other people shouldn't have access to it, but could. It's pretty it's pretty forgiving, it seems like, in terms of what you can share. What other settings are there? I don't think there's anything. You can set it to run after login, check for updates and such. Home folder is what it shows when it first log in. So like this wouldn't match what that was, so you'll probably want to make it this one, but honestly, it doesn't matter super much here in this case. Logs, yeah, there isn't a lot here. So you do though, like if this is not running, you won't be able to see the shares. Also, as Michael mentioned, nothing is kept on Globus. So if you go on the Globus web and you delete the file, it's going to be gone from this computer as well. So I'll show you. So now, for example, I'm running on this now. So I'm on this still. Okay. So we go to File Manager. I go, what did I call it? Should be able to search for, what did I call summer? Something. So yeah, what I created just now is now here. And then you can transfer. So if I go to C, it's so C because this is the thing that I did, because yeah, this doesn't match. It doesn't match the starting directory. If you can clean it, yeah, I think if I clean it, it'll be better. But once you get into it. So yeah, actually, let's fix that because it looks silly. So Globus. It's showing C because of that, because you want to start it there. Let's see. I think this should fix it. Although, if it make me sound like a really summer type person, which I'm not. Oh, still doing it. I don't know. Oh, that's probably a good point. And then, oh, maybe.
No, wait.
Save. Did I?
Desktop. Yeah, documents.
Yeah, I think. Oh, because it's desktop. Yeah, of course. No, good catch. Yeah, because yeah. But yeah, I have the wrong path. So let's try this again. Let's do a refresh. Yeah, now it goes straight into it. Yeah, you probably want to also, because you can have multiple shared folders too, so you might want to figure out which one you start. If you go up a folder, it will show all your it will show all your shared as well. It might show up as CD and a bunch of stuff too. But as you can see, there's a hello world. It's in there. There's like some file in it. So if you delete it, it's gonna. I mean, maybe I can try to. So like if I go delete, and then should be gone from here. Yeah, it's gone. So, and and whatever you put in there should show up. And this is how you would, so if you want to move stuff to, oh, one thing I maybe forgot to mention, which I have in the notes, is you can bookmark things you frequently visit. There's a little thing here. If you click on it, it will let you save it as a bookmark. If you to access the bookmark, this is when you click on connection, you can actually see your recents and bookmarks. you can see collections that you have access to and stuff that people share with you, quick access to it too. So if I go to here, start, I should check it. Yeah, so this is how you move things from your local computer to Chinook, for example, or Sockeye. Da, 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 da. Yeah. I think for this one, yeah, okay. So I'll kill this here. I can kill this sandbox forever. Yep. So now that I turned off the collection, because I've destroyed that virtual machine, if I try to go to, you can still see, what did I call this bit? Was it just bad by summer testing? It won't, like it will fail because you can't see it anymore. Yeah, so just because I turn it off for, it's basically destroyed. You probably want, yeah, so that's why. So a lot of the times, if you're transferring a lot of files from your laptop or desktop, laptop, whatever, it takes a while. If you just leave the room and if the computer goes to sleep or something, it might stop halfway through too. So you want to make sure it doesn't power off, someone doesn't come in and turn it off, or if they log you off, I think that would disable the share anyway, because it needs to be a little tray icon running in your computer while it's copying. You don't have that issue if you're transferring between Chinook to Sockeye or something, or between an endpoint that's on the cloud or hosted somewhere else. This is, generally speaking, the end of the follow along session. So now I'm just going to show you stuff like creating new Globus collections and doing shares and such, which you won't be able to do unless you've been allocated a space on Chinook, for example. But I'll still show you, because we have users that that has commonly have issues with some of the parts of it. But let's see, this is a document for how to set up Chinook, but I won't show everything because I already have some of the information here, the key and such, but we'll go through some of the basics here. So this is, say you've contacted ARC and you have been provisioned an allocation. So you'll be sent this documentation. It's a step-by-step guide on how to set up your allocation and share it with your researchers or your users. So I'll go through some of the basics of it. It won't be exactly the same as I'm saying, because a lot of this only applies to your first time doing it, such as getting the IAM secret key. Since I put that in already, it won't be asking me for that. So you would start by going to, so you'll type in and as I said, this is specific to if you have an allocation on Chinook, which is a UBC's storage service. And you will be given a path that you have access to. It's usually CH and then your CWL username. But in this case, I am using training, so it's training 1. normally I think it would be ch hyphen, I think for Chinook, and then /1. If you're the first time, you won't have folders because you won't have access to it because I have it in the past. I have these folders. So yeah, so as you can see, I shared the summer folder in the past. I created this folder A, and I have not shared it. So went up too many folders. Oh, oops. Yep. I don't know. Always like the O in front of one. I don't know. That just. So yeah, I think you click on folder A, you click on share. You go add a guest collection. And so yeah, here I'm sharing this particular folder. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, then folder A, share, I don't know. You can type something here, hello. And I think there are some settings, but this default directory by default, as you can see, it should default to the root of whatever directory here. So you don't really have to put in this again. This will be correct, and you create collection. And then, so yeah, this is where, so you're inside this collection called Ben's. So yeah, if you're the PI, you might want to grant other people on your team, your lab, permissions to maybe, as Michael was demonstrating in the slides earlier, you can assign roles to other users on Globus. You can make them a full administrator, which means they have like a lot of the same functions you do. They can tells you what you can do, delete, add people. You can just have people to only manage certain access. It kind of tells you what each of these roles have. So for example, maybe let's add, I can add, I click on it? Oh, I'm supposed to put it in here, of course. You do a search for the user. I'm at Michael here. Yeah, role and then. So this is not file sharing. This is just granting people administrative-ish access to the same collection, so they can add other people to. They can possibly do shares and such. So now Michael Tang has access to do to grant access to other people. If you do want to do permissions, it's actually here. This is where you can add people. But one thing you might want to do is create groups so you can manage people easier. So if you go to groups here, so say if your team has a lot of people, you can actually add them all within a group. So I call it test group already, but summer group. And you put in the name and you can see usually you would just add the users, but you can set a setting so that people can request to join it. These are settings just if you want it to be locally searchable and such. I'll just make it very basic here. Create group, summer group. So now you're in the summer group and you just add members, like what I just did. Is this right? And you can add, and it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be, so my GitHub, so does this work? Yeah. It doesn't have to be UBC, like, boom. And so now you have a group called summer group. This doesn't do anything, but when you go to your, but now when you go to your collection you created, folder A share under permissions. Instead of adding people one by one, you can actually go add permission and a group, select a group, summer group, and you can give them like read, write, or whatever access to the group. Yeah, I don't know if there is time limited. I don't think there is. Is it by user? Oh. Oh yeah. How did you? Oh, but how did you? But I guess, oh, because you're, okay, let's see here. Can you do it for the group? Let's see here, oh yeah, here we go. But I'm editing the group, summer group. Okay. But maybe you can do it for the group. Where do you do expiration? Yeah, it does have, it says never expired. Again, yeah. Although, yeah, it's saying this. Might be to get back to you situation here. I don't know. Like it shows never expires. How did you sync with the groups?
Here,
oh,
attributes.
Where is it in it?
Back.
Into the folder share permissions. Here you go. Overview. Here. Edit attributes. But that might just be for the entire thing though, right?
Yeah, we may need to get back to. Yeah, I think if that person could email ARPA support
Yeah.
at UBC.ca, we can get back to you.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Maybe there's a way, maybe something you have to do. I don't know. Because it's interesting. I wonder, like, yeah, because expiration shouldn't apply to the counts either. So I wonder what this is from, but I don't see it quite. Yeah, there's no, maybe it's some, like I don't see a, so am I missing a setting? No.
Oh, try adding an individual user, see if that pops up.
Okay. I'm out of users.
You can add more.
I'll just get myself separately. There you go. Send.
No, there's no settings.
Well, the answer is I don't. I don't
Yeah.
know at this point. Yeah. That's a good question, though.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I haven't really thought of it. Yeah, I'll look into it. So yeah, that was sharing. There's also something called Globus flows, which we're not going to go into too much here. This is specialized functions you can write in JSON. They have to do more complicated Globus transfers and such. But however, a common way to use Globus flow is, users can actually create different Globus flows. So these are more like scripts kind of functions or programs, a flow that people written, and a lot of times they can share with everybody else. So you can actually look at someone else's flow and use it. But the one that matters is the Globus. So Globus provide a few flows to do some of the common tasks. So here you go, move, copy, and delete files, because as a lot of, as I was showing earlier, you can't move files. So there is a Globus provided function for you to, you can use Globus Flow to, I think if you go start, it will ask you to put in this, yeah. It will ask you to, you can put in the source, your destination, which folder you want to move, which file, and then it would actually move it to the other one, and then delete from the other side. So it's just a bunch of, it's all like a script to do various things. So the Globus ones you might want to do. You can write your own. It kind of looks like it just you have, yeah, there's a certain Globus JSON language that there's a big document on it. Just do I don't have a link to it right away, but if it's something you want to explore, you can do it. I've only written like the most basic one, which is just, I think I did one to rename a folder, but which is just a modified version of this. I just moved it somewhere. Yeah. That was a long time ago. That's why I forgot that you can move from one within Chinook. Okay. So yeah, so I'm just making you aware of Globus flows. But yeah, so there are advanced functions if you want to use it. And I think, let me just see if there's a link to it here. Yeah, there's like a page on telling you how to create one. So the last thing is just a quick demo on the command line. So the command line interface, it's a Python, uses Python to do it. So and you can run it on, yeah, like any machine that you have a Python installed. So here, using PowerShell, but oh. Oh. Okay. Am I talking loud enough? Okay. Sorry. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. We have this look. Yeah, because like maybe if I button up all of it off. This might be better, although now my constricted. It's okay. It's good. So I'm just running it in Windows. Oh yeah, see, I can hear I can hear it now. This is probably better. I'm just running in Windows subsystem for Linux. It just runs, like Ubuntu and the thing. So it's just easier for me to show you how to do it. There is, I do have a documentation. I'll show you that first. Copy. Where do I put it? It does most of the things that the web GUI does. So there's this is the documentation for it. So they recommend installing using pipx just because it does it more in more like a VN environment. But you can do pip as well. But in this case, I'm going to do pipx. But I have installed it already, so I think it's just going to say. So I'm not going to run the first part. So this is assuming that you have installed this on your thing. So yeah, I'm running on WSL, but you should be able to run it on wherever you run Python, your Python, whatever, bash shell in Windows, or I don't know, on the Mac, just in your terminal, I guess. So you would start by logging in, Globus, login, and then this should redirect you to it will either pop up with an auto web page. It will bring up your web browser, or if that doesn't work, it would actually give you a link right in the terminal to cut and paste into your browser. I think it depends on just some sort of external is set up on your thing properly or something. I don't know. So yeah, you're logged in here, and this goes back to here. So now you're logged in, and so I'm gonna go. Is this showing okay? Globus, who am I? It shows who you are. So if you want to look for a endpoint, Globus endpoint search. I don't use this all the time, so I'm like literally just looking up, typing in what I had before. So yeah, so this, you can search for endpoint UBC arc. Then it would search for all the things. This is too big. Maybe I can just make it. I made the font bigger, but now it's wrapping. Let's make it slightly slower. I don't know if it's instantaneous magically, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, better now. So yeah, these are shows the yeah, you can search for like whatever. So for example, like what did I did a bunch of my name things. Does it do a wildcard? Yeah, so yeah, stuff that I did. Huh, who is this? Why is this showing? Anyways. So it's, yeah, the one I created is in there. So to connect to a, well, this one doesn't even work because I killed it. So to log into one, yeah, let's do the summer training connection. So I'll just cut and paste this here, control copy. Hopefully the space is fine. So it's there to connect to a share you want. Is, oh yeah, you want to, just exactly the same. You're creating an ID, so for future references, you can reference it. So export, and this can be anything. This is just for your own sake. Like Globus. I'm just going to call it summer ID equals. And then you're just copying this thing here. So now I've created this ID. So now, because you just don't want to be typing in this thing all the time, Globus, just a command to list the directory, $, this thing here. So yeah, it's showing my folders and such. Yeah, and you can, you can list it like deeper in the folders. Let's see here. Oops. But yeah, the full list of commands is on that site that I gave you. So just go say I want to go to summer school. Do they have small files? Did I? I don't know. I can't remember if it's lowercase or not. I just do summer school. It's safer. And then it should show the stuff in there. Yeah, it shows the good thing. Forgot I have an underscore. And yeah, I don't even have a thing. So yeah, you could, and there are commands on how to use it to move files and such, but And you would use it maybe, yeah, if like if you're on Linux, or if you want to run like a shell script, or if you wrote a Python thing to do unique stuff that you want to for what you need. So yeah, but I'm not an expert on it. I pretty much, if I want to do something, I use the web. It's a web interface. There's not a huge reason to use this over the web one if you're just doing a couple things. So, and yeah, that is the end of the live demo. Any questions? Okay. Other than that, yeah, I mean, we still have half an hour, but. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll bring up the PowerPoint. I'll bring back the PowerPoint. I might do that. F12, is it what we did? I forgot. Yeah, last slide.
Second last slide.
Right here.
Slideshow.
Slideshow, where is it? Oh, yeah.
From Curtis.
I don't do a lot of PowerPoints, as you can see.
So yeah, if you can spend a few minutes kind of filling out the survey, it will really help us to understand what worked and what didn't, and what courses are you hoping to see for the future. I think the instructor will also stick around for a couple more minutes if you have any more questions. So feel free to go on Slido or just use the Zoom chat. If you're here in person, yeah, you can ask questions live as well. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And there's a question on Zoom. So it's how to find your Chinook allocation usage, i.e. how much space you have used in your allocation. Thank you.
Yes, there is a documentation. Are you bringing it up? Yes. We're looking for ways to make it easier, but it's not through Globus. There's documentation which I believe Ben is bringing up shortly. Yeah, it wouldn't be done through Globus because Globus essentially is to help facilitate data sharing, data transfer. It doesn't have any insight on the quota, for example, like what Ben showed at the beginning of the demo. It only kind of gives the warning or eventually maybe failure if it hits the quota, but until you hit that, it won't be. Globus has no idea because it doesn't receive any feedback from the storage itself.
Yeah, this is looks like you have to install. I don't know. Is
there is a different way?
this is a public. It's a publicly available thing. Is there a way to put it on the link here? I don't have Zoom set on it though. See.
The shortcut to this documentation is arc.ubc.ca/docs, DOCS.
So yeah, if you go to this particular page, I don't think you need to log into anything. Let's double check. because it's just a technical user documentation. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, if you can see this URL, if you go to it, there's all the Chinook and Globus technical user documentation here, including overview, setup, sharing, user guide, and checking your storage is here. I could maybe, let's see here. So I logged in, blah, blah, blah. Do I have? Yeah, I've never done this, so.
Can you scroll to the bottom? Is it at the very bottom? That's just sort of
Yeah. So you do have to do it in command line. Yeah. So I guess that's one thing you would use Globus for. But don't. Maybe I'll leave the link here at the bottom in case you want to see it.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks so much, everybody, for attending. This is the end of the course, and we'd like to welcome you back this afternoon for the ARC on Demand introduction. Yeah, well, thanks so much.